I apologise for how bad this video may be, but I noticed that there wasn't much information regarding the roller blind or the cup holder rubbers in the Volvo V70 P3 and S80 P3 models. So I'm going to be giving you a quick demonstration on how to remove the centre console, how to change the sliding door, which I have already done, and how to change the rubbers in there. I have also got the part number for the rubber, which is there. So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, we're going to remove a bit of trim just behind here. Apologies for the sun, which is this piece here, and it sits just in there. There is a small hole just there, and we're going to get a small pick in there, and then that's going to enable us to move the gear stick into neutral without turning the car on. Okay, so now we're in neutral without the car on. We can get this plastic trim around here up just using a plastic pry bar. Comes up relatively easy, perfect. And then just around this edge, this silver edge, we need to pry under there, this side, on the other side, and around the back. To be able to remove this black piece and slide it out. Perfect, now that's out of the way. The next step is to remove this fascia around here. On the back behind here are two sort of long pieces of plastic that are catched on. So we want to get a long thin pick, place it in. We're looking around the left hand side as we go in. For that long piece of plastic trim. I don't think this is actually going to make it through. I did use an Allen key last time, so I'm going to try that next. So again, so it's just inside either side of the CD tray, and it folds forward, but you can see there's not much there for it to grab onto. The way I used it was a small Allen key. Push it through, and then you've got to find that catch and push to uncatch this piece here, and then it should pop forward once you've done both of those. Okay, so next you're going to want to go in here and lift up the floor, and then you're going to want to unscrew all of these two T25 bolts. There's also two in here, two here, two there, and then two behind the fascia that was up there. I found the best way to get these up is to use a pick down one side, and then they lift up like that, and that's all they are. It's just two little plastic bits there. So once you've got the various bolts out of here, the two at the top are also a different size to the rest of the bolts. They're a lot longer, as you can see. There is also two bolts behind there and there. They're the same T25 top, but once you get them out, they are also different to the rest of the bolts. That's not one of them. I'll show you the other one in a second. So I'll show you from down the side, just there, and then one on the other side. They are also a different thread pattern completely to the rest of the bolts, so keep hold of those separately. I just keep them all in the ashtray because that comes out and can be moved out of the way, and close the lid. Okay, so as you can imagine, it all interlocks. So this piece sits underneath this piece, and then this whole bit is one unit that sits underneath. So what we're going to do first is slide back this piece There you go, all the way sort of down here as well and down that side, but we'll slide them out of the way to reveal this piece for the center console. The center console then comes forward. There we go, which we can then lift out the way. If you want it completely out of the way, there are some various plugs on the back. There are various plugs and stuff to take it off completely, but for these purposes we don't need to, so I'm not going to. And once you've slid this back, it then reveals 2 more bolts there and there, and then this whole unit comes up from here to sort of here. So you sort of lift it up and slide it forward out of the side of here, and then underneath, if you shut your sliding door, there's 2 pins here. So this one is squeeze and pull, and this one for the cigarette lighter should just pull off. There we go, and then just pull that out, and that's it. That's that removed. So this is the unit with the cup holders, the ashtray and the cigarette lighter in them. So yours will obviously vary on how this is and how your rubber inserts are. Again, there's the part number for that. I have replaced this sliding door, but I haven't used an official one. I used one off AliExpress or something similar to replace that. It works fine enough, just a bit of grease down there each side to make sure it slides up and down. Apologies for the noise. So first things first is to take out, these are actually T20 bolts. So if you're doing this to just replace the rubber, just be mindful that as soon as you take out the 3 bolts there, there and there, this side will come off, but your screen will then be loose and will come free, so just bear that in mind. I did take my cigarette lighter out to clean it. There is just a catch there, so if you lift up that black plastic piece, and there's one on this side as well, then this will actually pop out that way. Okay, so once we've got the 2 side panels off and the roller blind off, obviously if it's just the roller blind you need to replace, we can skip this bit, but for those changing the rubber, what you'll then need to do is push down on these 2 plastic clips here, and then using this we can pick up this side to rock it out of these 3 slits here. Okay, once that pops out, you'll then have the old very perished rubber there. There is a circular dint in that side which corresponds with that one there as it goes back in, so just take note of that. So don't forget to give it a nice little bit of a clean whilst it's off. But next you want to level out the gasket so that the circle matches, and then obviously all the center points will match in there, and then we want to put it in so that these 3 notches go into that side there. You want to put it in and then rock it down that way so that it clicks, and be mindful of your light there, and these 2 notches here do poke out quite a bit, so just watch them as you're pushing it in. So just be mindful that it catches on these black clips, and just make sure that it seats properly around the edge, along there, along that edge there, which looks good. They're all seated properly and it looks good on either side. So with the first side, we don't need to worry too much, just needs to line up correctly. So we've got the 3 marks there, there and there. Okay, so now that's done. They don't need to be in there too tight at all. Remember, they are metal being screwed into plastic, so don't do it too tight. Then you want to get your cover, whether it be a newer one or the original, and then you want all of these notches to go into the blind channel, which runs along there and then loops around over there. There will be some that have to sit at the angle, while most of them will be flat. So I will need 2 hands for that, bear with me. So you can sort of push the top end in, and then as you get to the top you can arch it over and push in so that it all sits flush. And then you want to get your other one. As it comes up, this will have sat slightly lower than the channel, so you will need to lift it ever so slightly to get the side in once that side's in, you've then got your 3 T20 bolts to put back in. Okay, so once that's complete and your bolts are back together, everything else is just the reverse. As I said earlier, just make sure if you have changed, or even if you haven't changed, to be fair, this sliding blind, you can get some, I believe silicone spray is best because it doesn't dry, in the channel that the roller blind goes in, just to make sure that it rolls freely and doesn't stick. So fitting, like I say, is the reverse. So there's your lighter ports and the light for the ashtray, which go in there and there. Okay, so once that's back in, again, you want to move this back a little bit. It will slide into this unit and then drop down. So one thing I actually didn't notice previously, is you can see that just there under my finger is like a sliding catch, and on the other side and on here there is actually a part for it to go in just in there. So you want to pick this up slightly to slide this unit into it, and then drop the whole lot down into it, down into the center console bit there. So that has slid in backwards and clicked on both sides to let us know that it is in situ correctly. And then this will all lower down and then slide forward. So you're wanting this panel here to slide into this panel here correctly on both sides, and then you want these holes to line up with the holes of the center console underneath. There we go. So that's all lined up hole wise, and down that side and that side all the plastics have lined up. And then we want to move this back in. Remember, if you have decided to unplug everything, to plug it back in. However, I opted not to. You want to move some cars don't have these sport advanced comfort switches, which changes the suspension. Some do. So yours might not have that. And then you want to pick it up at the back to slide in those 2 notches there. There we go, which will go in between this and the glove box section. So with all your electrics out of the way, this should pull forward slightly to push, so that the bottom bit catches first, as reverse of what we did before, and then this will push back, and then all your holes will line up. Your 2 at the top, 2 at the back, 2 at that front section, 2 there, 2 there, 4 there, and 2 at the back. With these ones at the back, the best way to put them back in is to sort of have your finger on the side of the Torx bit and the bolt, just to hold the bolt in, and then lower it in with your finger just down the side until it catches in, because there is holes either side of these ones, and you can lose your bolts in there. But like I say, that pushes back in on the back, and then just goes back and pushes in once you've put all the bolts back. But other than that, it is just putting the bolts and those little plastic pieces in there and there. The bezel from the front has 2 little catches there, which sit just under those buttons, and then just pushes back into place. And then once finished, you'll have a sliding blind and cup holders with the rubber tabs to stop it sliding around.